out Medfield, and welcome to the happenings at Medfield's Town Hall. Our guest tonight, I think, is somebody you've probably seen before. Mike will give us this month's updates on what's going on. But first of all, I got a question the other day on the telephone. Somebody asked me how I had ever met you, because they said it looked like we were friends. And I said we had been friends for 40 years.
That's right. You were a reporter when I first met you for, what, the Milford Daily News, UNCB?
I was a reporter, and back then the selectmen could send the reporters out when they were interviewing people.
Yes, that's
so
right,
CB
yeah.
and I had to leave, and we were leaving, and you held the door open for us as you were going in for the interview. And CB and I looked at each other and we said, hey, we like that guy. We hope he gets a job.
So that's how I got the
that
job.
Was it.
Oh, yeah.
That was it.
At long last, I figured that one out.
And how many years ago, Mike?
Next month it'll be 41 years.
41 years.
Yeah.
Before I was born. How about that?
Yeah. And the month after, I turned the big 7-0, so getting up there.
Yes.
So.
I'm a little past that stage.
Well, what do they say? After 65, you stop counting.
Okay,
So,
after 41 years, what's the best thing in Medfield?
the best thing in Medfield? I don't know. There's so many good things. I think it is people are kind to each other for the most part. I think,
people?
When you see somebody get sick and the neighbors will cook food and, drive people to the doctor's appointments and babysit for the kids, I think it's a lot of kindness. The other thing I think, kids by and large are very nice. They're very polite. I do miss when I first came to Medfield, kids would, walking down the street, they'd say hello. And of course now with all the stuff that's going on, they kind of turn the other way.
Isn't it too bad?
It is. It's kind of a shame, but I can understand why, but you do kind of miss the interaction that you have with people that you didn't have, that you used to have. But there's a lot of things. I think the downtown is kind of a nice downtown. There are things to do now. You don't hear the term Deadfield much anymore. I think we've been able to keep an awful lot of open space. That's really kind of neat. And when people are called on to do something, they stand up and do it. We've renovated the schools, we've built the town garage, we've built the public safety building. We're now in the process of trying to figure out what to do with the hospital. So a lot of things that that people are willing to, even though they might not personally be able to get involved that much because they have to work to pay their high taxes here, but they do seem to care, and they'll come forward when they need to. It's a lot of things, I guess, that are good about the town.
Yeah, I hope the small town feeling stays. I hope it does.
Yeah, it's hard, it's, I remember when I first came to town, they always just talk about the townies. Well, there aren't many townies left, there are a few, but, by and large, the townies are a dying breed. It's, and fortunately, I remember Billy McCarthy, who McCarthy Park is named after.
He was a gem.
He was the public works director. And I remember him saying the thing about Medfield is the influx of new people came slowly, gradually, so there wasn't the tension between the townies and the new folks. It was a gradual acceptance of them. So
that's my next door neighbor, Ken Luigi, told me too. He said, when we moved in, he said the thing that he noticed about the people, I moved in the middle 60s, and they were building Pine Needle Park and Indian Hill and Marlin Estates and you name it, Long Meadow Road, all those, all under construction.
Yes.
And he said everybody that he had come in contact with through his church, I think they were members of the Baptist church, as I remember, he said they all seemed people that were willing to dig in and get involved in the community, and he said that's what's kept the townies like him happy.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
That's good.
And hopefully that will continue. So
I hope so too.
So
So what are you doing now at Town Hall to keep us all in trouble?
Well, yes, we're working on the budgets now for next year, for fiscal 17, believe it or not. Seems like we just set in fact, we just did set the tax rate for fiscal 16, and fiscal 17's coming along. But there's a lot, usually in the summer things slow down, but the summer between the hospital work being done up there and the public safety building, and the solar facility down at the treatment plant. Seemed like there was a lot of stuff going on. And then when you look around town, particularly in the downtown, you got the renovation, the building next to Town Hall, the old Will's Hardware or Master's Touch building, depending on how long you've been here.
Allen Insurance also before that.
Yes, yeah. And you've got the combination commercial space office building going up on North Street, where Kinsman's house used to be. You've got the renovation to the strip mall down on 27, which is coming along nicely. And of course, we're in it right now. The cable studio, I think, really turned out well, and that opened up this summer. So, a lot going on. It keeps the job interesting.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Sometimes a little too interesting, but right now we're waiting to find out what our health insurance rates are going to be for next year, because that will impact the budgets.
You're assuming upward?
Yes, yeah, we've been told that the minimum will be a 5-6% increase because that's what the cost inflation in health insurance alone is, a 5 to 6% increase. A lot of that's to do with these miracle drugs that are coming along that are very expensive. I don't know if any of it's attributable to the Affordable Health Care Act or not. Probably a little bit. But, and then the school budget hearing is tonight. You know, we're recording this on the 25th, and the school budget hearing is going to be held in the high school auditorium. I said they must be expecting a big crowd if they're having it in the auditorium.
Maybe.
So those are the big things going on. We've had some other events. Ken Feeney is going to be retiring. Whereas Richard DeSorga is going off the Board of Selectmen.
But Ken Feeney's been around for a long time.
He has, yes, almost as long as me. He's been here about 38 years, close to 39 years now. And as Richard DeSorga was a big surprise, not re-upping for Selectmen. I told Richard, I said, everybody thought you were a lifer.
Yeah.
And Eddie Beard's not running for Board of Assessors.
I was surprised at that, too.
Yes, I was very surprised at that. So,
but I was surprised Richard retired after only one term.
I was, too. But although I remember he did that the first time he was on the board. He served for one term 30 years ago. And then we had some woman that came along and took his place, and she was there for 30 years.
I wonder who that was.
I think her name was Thompson, so like Ann Thompson. So I said, maybe you got to come back and run for another 30 years.
That's what people asked me if I was going to run for Richard's seat, and I said, I said I would have stayed there and never given it up if my eyes hadn't gone.
Yeah,
I really would have.
Yeah.
I miss it a lot. I love being a selectman.
It was a lot of fun when you were on it.
A lot of work.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
But definitely a lot of work, a lot of fun.
But I think the time and effort you put in showed off, and so many of the things that have happened in town. You know, I think a lot of people, when they come to Medfield, they remark on how beautiful the downtown is, about all the open space we have, the historic houses, and of course the big thing is the schools. Everybody really comes here for the schools, or most of the people. So.
Well, some do. I've sold several houses because of the water. I was really surprised that people would ask for the water report.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course now we're starting, you know, I've noticed people seem to be moving to be near their grandchildren. I see a lot of that too, so that's a healthy sign. I think it's a nice sign for kids to be able to know their grandparents.
Yeah, I think it is good too. I'm lucky I have 3 children living in the town.
You
very,
are,
very
yes,
lucky.
Yeah. What's your grandchild count now?
How many what?
What's your granny count?
15.
15?
And 2 great-grandchildren,
Wow.
boys.
So you're really
very lucky.
cranking up the numbers, yeah.
Very, very lucky,
Yeah.
really have been.
The water tower is expected to be done in May. Speaking of the water system, they still have to go up and put the top on, and they have to paint the inside first, I guess, and then put the top on, and then you don't think of water tower, having to paint the inside and the outside, and that's one of the reasons it makes it very expensive. But so once we get that online, that should help with the pressure, and hopefully we'll save electricity quite a bit. So, and they're going to be, this spring, they should be continuing on replacing the railroad ties on the line that runs from Framingham to Gillette Stadium or Mansfield, I think it actually goes to. So, and they're going to be redoing 3 more of the grade crossings, Cottage Street, Dale Street, and West Street. They're going to try to redo. So, kind of a little nervous about what it means.
I remember you talked about that before.
Spending a lot of money on the track, yeah. So, but we'll see. Other than that, I think there is a proposal that'll probably be on the warrant this year to put a ballot question on to support the Community Preservation Act, which would be a 3% surcharge on your property tax bill, and it can be used for open space and recreation, historic preservation, or affordable housing. And you have to use at least 10% of the money you raise for each of those categories, and the other 70% can be spent on any or all of those categories, but at least 10% on each of the categories.
Now that came under discussion when I was still a selectman. There were so many pros and cons.
In fact, we got hit with a computer virus at Town Hall this morning, they think from China. So we can't turn our computers on today. So I started cleaning my desk, which, as you haven't been in my office, know is a monumental task. And one of the things I found was a piece, explanatory piece on the Community Preservation Act from, I think it was 2003 or 2004.
Oh, that long ago.
So I'm getting down there a bit. So, but that will be I'm sure that'll be a hot topic for discussion.
I think it will be, because it was a hot topic before.
Yes, yeah. And there is and I think I mentioned this before, there's a committee to study fields that's coming out with a report. Principally, I think this year they want to do something with the, well, what I call the football field. I think now they call it a multi-purpose. All these names are changed. When I came, we used to have garbage collection. Now they call it organic waste, food waste recycling. We used to go to the dump, and now we go to the transfer station.
I still call it the dump. I can't.
Now the football field is the multi-purpose field, so it takes a bit of getting used to. So, but that will be coming up. There's they'd like to get the tennis courts at Metacomet redone. Council on Aging would like to put an addition on their building. Park and Rec would like to get their building started in the design phase. So a lot of things coming up. It almost seems like the recession has ended. Everybody held off on all these projects for years, and we had the public safety building going on, and now it's all letting loose again. And
so let's come spend again.
Yeah. So we'll see. The governor said he's going to increase state aid by about 4.5%. It's only one portion of state aid. It isn't a huge amount for us. It might be, $60,000 or $70,000, I would think, somewhere in that area, because it only applies to, I think, about 1.3 million. I don't know. He did put, I think, 41 million into Chapter 70, which is your education aid, but most of that goes to the city. So usually we end up getting $25 per student, and we have around 2,500 students now, 2,600. So you're talking about 125, 130,000, somewhere in that area.
How many special needs students do we have now?
I don't know the numbers. The last time I can recall, the percentage was about 12 or 13%.
That's a lot.
That's fairly low.
Is it really?
Yeah, some of the cities have 70 or 80% of their students.
Oh my God.
Some of it, I think, when you get in the cities, is a way of getting more money out of the state, because you get more money for special ed kids. So
You're a little
they
cynical, Mr. Sullivan.
I'm not just a little cynical. After 41 years, I'm very cynical. So, the other thing that happened too is the park down on West Street opened, and that was, I think, not as bad as people had worried it would be. It's fairly attractive complex.
It's surprisingly attractive.
Yes, yeah. And I haven't been in it, but from people I've talked to that have been in it, the units seem very nice, and the clubhouse they say is very nice.
And
so,
how many residents are in there now?
92 units. I'm not sure how many residents. I think there are about 34 children in the school system. So, we thought there might be 100 or more, but it turned out there was only about 34.
And it's a sliding scale of payment for rent, I understand?
Yeah, the whole unit was supposed to be 100% affordable, and I'm not sure what the guidelines are for affordability, whether it's low income, there's low income, moderate income. It depends on whether you're in the Boston urban area or the Metro West area. It's all kinds of, you have to be a Philadelphia lawyer to understand how these things work out. But it filled up very fast, and they said there was a number of Medfield residents that actually moved in there, which is good.
Well, one of the residents told me they don't count any money you might have salted away. They only count your income.
Oh, okay.
Now, whether that's true.
Well, that's good, too, for people that are on Social Security.
Sure.
That's been a big help to them, I would think. So.
Yeah.
And there have been talk about a couple more in the works, a couple more 40B developments, one up on Hospital Road, and the other, somebody was talking about a small one down off High Street. But we just heard a preliminary interest, and we haven't heard anything more. I was talking to our town council, who's also moderator of Medway. He told me Medway just had a site approval for I think it was apartment or condo complex. I thought he said it was condo complex, 200 units in Medway. So
where in Medway are they going to put that?
I don't know exactly. Yeah. So I have enough problems worrying about Medfield. I don't worry about Medway. So let town council worry about that. So.
Yeah, he will.
Yes, he will. Yeah.
He's still moderator there, is he?
Yes, he's a moderator there, and town council in Medfield and Franklin.
So. That's right.
So.
He did a good job for us.
Yes, yep. Yeah, he's been there quite a while. Most of our people have been there for quite a while. You and I must have inspired them to stay.
That's probably what it was.
Yes, yeah. The hearing is coming up this week too. I believe it's Wednesday night on the Board of Appeals hearing, or Planning Board hearing, Board of Appeals, I guess, on the special permit for the assisted living facility behind the PCAS.
That's going to be. That would be. I wish I could go to that.
Yeah, that's going to be a big, well attended. I assume.
I should think it will be.
Yeah.
Been a lot of phone calls, and a lot of talk about it.
Yes. Yeah. Other than that, I think that's enough going on. We'll have to see what else comes up in the course of the year, but it's been this is a very busy year.
It has been a busy year.
Yeah.
And the Economic Development Committee is trying to get things going again.
Right.
We'll have meetings at the library.
And I think there was there may be a petition that circulated trying to get some movement on the use of the Hinckley land for moderate income elderly housing. Yeah,
I would love that.
I think it would be a good site for it, right near the senior center. So
I think it's a perfect spot to have.
Yeah.
But there aren't any smaller houses. There aren't many. I shouldn't say there aren't any. There aren't many. Because when I was ready to downsize, I found a two bedroom, 2 bathroom, 2-car garage, 1 floor. I mean, that's perfect for somebody that's a little older. That's ideal.
The trouble is, the smaller houses, the builders buy them, tear them down, and put up a large house on the site. So there's been some discussion about how to prevent that from happening so that you do have some affordable housing. And this trend has been going on for years. I remember when we used to have when I first came to Medfield, there were a lot of apartments and several rooming houses in the center of town on Main Street and the side streets, and the builders came in, turned them into condos.
They sure did.
And all of that affordable housing went. Now it's happening with the smaller homes, so you wonder where it will end.
Well, 6 of the units in my 24-unit street are affordable, but the rest are market rate. And they're selling for about $400, a little bit more than $400, depending on the house, which is not a bad price for somebody that's already owned a house in Medfield. Pretty
No,
good.
but compared to what they used to sell for, I remember when I came to Medfield, the house lots over $10,000 to $15,000, and expensive house. The Indian Hill was sort of the subdivision at the time, and expensive house would go for about $60,000 then, and people thought that was outrageous. And now you can't touch a house lot for seems under $300,000 just for a piece of land.
They were the high-priced houses when I came to Medfield.
Yes, yeah.
And now there are quite a few more than that.
Yes, yeah.
There are.
And the houses just seem to keep getting bigger and bigger. So even the condos keep getting bigger and bigger.
Even though the families keep getting smaller and smaller.
Yes, yeah.
There aren't many large families around anymore.
It is interesting, yeah. I remember when I came, the Sullivans had the 2 biggest families in town. I think one had 9 and one had 11.
Yeah.
So I used to have to tell everybody that I have nothing to do with it. It's not my branch of the Sullivans. So.
They were good. Paul and Mary were good friends of mine on Juniper Lane.
Yes.
Very good friends.
Yeah. So you're going to be out of commission for a while. Are you get anyone to take your place while you're gone, or you're going to be having your surgery, and so you won't be interviewing me next month?
I don't know how long I'll be gone.
You don't know how?
No.
Well, maybe
For
you'll
those
be back by then.
Those that don't know, I'm having double D replacement in 2 days.
Yeah.
So it might only be a couple days, might be a week. I have no idea. And my surgeon said it depends a lot on what happens.
Yeah.
So my kids will be in and out of the house, checking on the house, getting my mail, all that stuff. Maybe they'll even clean it while they're there. That would be. It could stand it too. I vacuumed a little this morning, but it could stand a good cleaning.
Oh God! If they run out of cleaning down there, my house could really use a cleaning. So.
But it's nice.
I've been too busy shoveling. So.
But there are 2 great places in Medfield for physical therapy, which is terrific. There's one up at the Kingsbury Club, and there's one down on Route 27.
That's right. Yeah, we are very lucky.
We are very lucky.
Yeah.
And lucky for people like me that can't drive is there's a senior bus that will pick you up and take you there.
Yes. Yeah.
And for a mere $2 that you pay to go to someplace special, that's a bargain of a lifetime.
That for sure is. Yeah. Well, that's the other interesting thing. Well, I don't think actually there will be much coming up at town meeting other than looking for funds to continue studies on the state hospital. They have been meeting pretty regularly, the hospital committee, and but I don't think there's a consensus yet on which direction they want to go in. It varies all over the place from some people who would like to see nothing up there to other people who would like to see fairly extensive development and every place in between. And of course now you have dog walkers and drone flyers and horse, riders and joggers and
a lot of dogs up there now.
Hikers. Yes, yeah.
Now I always did walk dogs up there, but not too many other people did. Now you go up there and you almost always see a bunch of dogs.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it was curiosity too. And
but it's good for them to take a good look at it.
yes.
It really is. The town owns it now.
It was a part of town that, unless you lived up in that area, very few people had any knowledge of it. It's been closed for 10 years, so they had very little occasion to go up there anyway. But now that it's been opened up, and particularly with the landscaping work that's been done along the river, I think when the spring comes and that the flowers and trees are in bloom, that's going to be quite a spectacular sight up there. So.
Yeah, when we first lived here, a lot of people went up to the hospital. Little League, my husband was very involved in Little League as a coach and then later president.
Yeah.
But they played some games back there. which was great because it got people up there that, like including me, that had never been on the grounds of a state hospital before. And then the clothing sales that we ran for years, and I certainly helped in, got an additional thousands of people up there that had never been. So it was great. It gave a lot of education there, just different reasons to get up and look around.
Well, it was funny. I remember when we built the Little League fields in McCarthy Park, DPW built those fields for the most part, and with some help from the Army Corps, but mostly DPW. But they, when they opened, there was some sentiment not to use them because the hospital was still open at that time, and people didn't want their children up at the state hospital. And really there was never any problem with the state hospital in the years I've been here, not with the patients, maybe with some of there were a couple of incidents with the prisoners when they were up there for a short period of time.
That was tough. That was a tough period.
And there were a couple of incidents with employees up there, but other than that, it was never really seemed to be much of a problem.
Yeah.
But people are cautious, and more so these days. You know, it's a different world we live in. Unfortunately, I'm not sure it's better. There's some strange characters around these days.
Well, maybe it'll be better when you come in next month. You can tell us how much better things were than January. You think?
I think so. Especially the days will be getting longer. It'll be almost daylight savings. Daylight savings is only
sounds good to me.
5 or 6 weeks away. So, and the days will be a lot longer. Hopefully, there'll be no snow.
You're sure?
Well, I said hopefully.
I remember 1 April we had it.
Yes. Well, maybe that'll go south again like the last one. So,
as long as it doesn't go down to where some of my sons live.
Well, they're young and strong. They can
they are younger.
Except down there, they don't know what to do with it. They get a couple of inches and everything shuts down.
Well, one of my sons said the big problem is when it melts during the day and then refreezes at night, and that people aren't used to driving on black ice.
Yeah, I'd rather have a foot of snow
They'd be much better off
than a half-inch of ice.
That's the problem. That's a big problem down as you go down south, because it's going to melt during the day and then boom, the ice comes back at night.
Well, that happens sometimes up here too, but fortunately our highway department does a good job. They'll go out at night and sand and salt, so sometimes people get a little bit reckless and they still want to go 60 miles an hour regardless of the temperature, regardless of the weather conditions. So, but I understand, though, there's a bill wending its way through the legislature that expects to be passed, and the governor's indicated he's signed it, that will finally ban the use of handheld devices while you're driving.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yes, yeah. I think there have been too many accidents already, and my own experience, I've seen people holding those cell phones up when they shouldn't be.
Absolutely.
They were turning into an intersection or speeding 70 miles an hour on a highway, and they're yapping away on the phones. And the teenagers, I guess, like to text more than talk. And that's really dangerous. So, I mean, that's been banned for a while, but now they're going to ban any use of cell phones.
But the legislature might actually do something right. Think about that.
Well, I'm sure some people will say, that's not a problem. I use my cell phone all the time. How am I going to get my work done when I'm stuck in traffic?
Yeah, but it really is a good safety problem, I think.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Okay, well, anything else to add?
I think we've talked about all we can today. I don't know much else going on, unless you want to get into international politics or something
no,
like
thanks.
that.
Or the presidential race. I don't want to get into that yet either.
I don't either. So
I still haven't decided what to do on that one.
I think you're like most people. They like to, throw them all out and start all over again. I think that most people have their way. But
as an independent, I don't even know which ballot I want to take.
Well, you may have an independent candidate. I heard this morning that the former mayor of New York is talking about running as an independent. So
he's thinking about it anyway.
Yes, that would be really throw an interesting wrinkle into the whole race.
So we may have a lot to talk about come September, October, November.
Well,
could be very interesting.
We can talk about it. We just don't have any answers or any solutions to it.
We can still vote.
Yes, yeah.
We can still vote.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for the update, Mike. We'll see you in a month.
Thank you, and good luck with your surgery.
Okay, I'm sure it'll go well.
I'm sure you'll bounce back.
I'm sure.
what do they say? You've been there, done that. So
Well, I haven't done this particular type. I haven't done these before, but,
yeah, well,
but we'll see how it goes. But I'm sure it'll go well.
Good.
But thanks, and I'll see you in a month.
great. Take care.
The preceding was a production of Medfield TV.